All right, episode 3 of Ask a Mechanic. Here we go. We got why does only my car get such awful condensation and no other cars on the lot? Well, first of all, why does my car only get awful condensation versus other cars? That's how it should be worded. But um, the reason is usually the seal is broken, and then what happens is moisture gets inside.
They're talking about the outside of the car, though.
Okay, so sometimes if you wash your car and you have used like Windex on the outside or even wax or certain kinds of products that'll stick to the outside, moisture will have something to grab onto. And sometimes that can cause a lot of condensation to form on the outside of the car compared to other vehicles.
Also, location. If you're in shade and they're not, stuff like that.
That's true. Yep, absolutely. Best system to attach a kill switch to. Is there something better than a kill switch? Well, you could install a kill switch in many different ways. A simple way is just literally have a switch that would tie into a circuit to prohibit the car from having the ignition turn on or the engine computer turn on or something like that. That would obviously keep the car from starting.
Fuel pump.
Yep, fuel pump would just crank.
Just the big deal there is to have it in a place that's not easy to find, but is easy to find for you.
For sure. Yeah, I've always thought about doing that to my car.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
What could be making this noise? Interesting. Almost sounds like it's coming from the rear end.
Yeah. Diff.
Yeah, definitely could be diff. Got something broken inside, something really worn out, and the gears aren't meshing properly. Could also be emergency brake shoes if those are like all just loose inside the rotor, getting tossed around in there. That could be making that noise.
Best thing to do here is grab a stethoscope.
Yeah. Stethoscope would definitely point you in the right direction as far as, where is it really coming from?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, go from there. It would suck to have to pull the diff apart, but it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
Can anyone identify if this is stock subframe or part of the lift kit? This portion at the bottom, oh yeah, look at them greasy welds.
Oh, wow.
Definitely not stock. Yeah. Does not look stock to me. You can see, if you go back a picture, actually forwards, you can see two big bolts right there. So that's definitely a factory location. I'm sure there's a drop bracket that gets put on here to drop the lower control arms in order to keep the angles, your alignment angles, proper. Door won't stay locked. Okay, so I've seen this before where a couple different instances, I've seen linkages inside the door that are bent, and it will trip the door lock actuator out. And I've also seen door lock actuators themselves that will fail and it just won't stay in the locked position or unlocked position. It just keeps tripping back and forth. Any way to get E85 / high octane cost effectively, Ontario, Canada? So I did actually look into this. A fellow that I talked to was able to get barrels of E85. And that's the thing in Canada. If you're somewhere out of the city, there really isn't a lot of places that sell E85.
Even in the city, there's not tons.
Yeah, not like compared to the United States where it's readily available for the most part, as I know. But yeah, this guy was saying you could buy it by the 55-gallon drum, and that's the best way to do it.
From a fuel supplier.
Yeah.
I have one right near my house, and they'd probably be able to get me some.
Yeah, I forget how much he said it costs something. I feel like it was like $400
for a 55-gallon.
Yeah.
So how many liters? That 200 liters or so. So $2 a liter,
something like that.
Seems like a lot compared to gas, but gas isn't that much cheaper than that here.
Right. Yeah. Yep. How bad is the tire? Yeah, that's pretty serious.
Is that a slash out of it?
Yeah, there's definitely a chunk missing. You can see, it looks like it's run up against a curb or something.
Yeah.
Something sharp has hit it. Gash like that, especially in the sidewall, don't take any chances. Doesn't take much. You know, hit a pothole, extra pressure inside the tire could cause a blowout. So really, it's up to you. It's for your safety, though. Is it possible there is a light etching on my windshield causing rain to follow the same pattern? It is possible. You've seen before where your wiper blades will wear out, and if you don't change them, you can either have part of the wiper housing will score the windshield. Even if you live in a dusty or dirty area and you're always using the wipers, that grit and that dirt will eventually etch into the glass over time. So
Also, if it's waxed, just in those spots, like if you drip,
Yep.
if something dripped on it.
for sure, any kind of oily product or wax or anything like that that's going to repel water, for sure.
What's this called? There's not much context here.
Looks like a brake line with a flare, and you've got the brake line nut on there. So I'm guessing he's looking for, the answer would either be brake line nut or like tube nut
Yeah.
or a flare. Specifically, that was a double flare.
Yeah. Ooh, box bolts or not? No, they're not.
Advice on removing a hopelessly stuck bolt under the wheel well. Already tried drilling through it, but the hole is off center. That sucks. That's the one thing that I absolutely hate about drilling out bolts is when it goes off center and the drill bit starts to walk over. Just makes it such a pain. But I mean, if you don't have access to a welder, your options are very limited. I would almost get a small torch to heat it up. But I understand, like, it's in behind the fender. I would be taking that fender liner off to get the most access that you can. And there is a decent amount of stud that's sticking out. I would get some vice grips on there. And I would try to put some heat on it, but obviously put something to protect the paint because it doesn't take much for that heat to destroy the paint on the outside of the fender. Also, that bumper's plastic as well, so you really have to watch. But heat is your best friend in that case. Bad battery or alternator. My car got impounded in a different state. I bought it. I brought it out the lot and let it sit at my friend's house for 3 weeks to save money. When I came back, car needed a jump. Took 20-minute drive back to my home state and let it run for about an hour, but my interior lights were on and my car died when I turned on the headlights.
So turn it on, throw a multimeter on the battery.
Yeah, for sure. If like it really depends. You have to test it. I've seen before where batteries are so dead that they won't even take a charge.
Oh, okay.
And when you're running the car like that, when the car is running, it's like literally running off of the alternator.
Yeah.
And if you put a lot of load on that, it will can definitely cause an overload on the electronics, everything. And, it's just enough that the car will stall. But, yeah, as far as testing goes, grab yourself a multimeter, put it on the battery without the car running. Good battery is 12.6 volts. A low battery is about 11. Anything below that may start, but it probably won't. And then with the car running, your charging system should be outputting, give you a total voltage reading of about 14 volts.
Yeah.
So
if it's reading 14 while it's on, don't replace the alternator. Replace.
Yeah, I wouldn't replace the alternator if you're getting 14 volts. Definitely throw a battery in it. 2012 Audi A4 Quattro base 2-liter turbo. We know these engines well.
Oh, too well.
So it looks like it's this daily issue led to replace timing chains, intake camshaft. Chains were bad, and which wore down the cam gear. I've seen this before. Timing chain stretches is a thing on those.
Oh, yeah.
Had to drive it for a bit between chain replacement and camshaft replacement. During this time, it would occasionally shut off after idling or moving at low RPMs. I initially thought this was due to the old intake cam. However, even after replacing the cam, the issue persists. No codes or warning lights. It sounds like if the chain was off a tooth or half a tooth, it's easy to do. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
There was also that issue with the that filter screen that's in behind the bridge.
Yeah.
And if that thing gets plugged up,
For oil pressure.
it will starve those variable valve timing controllers. You think it would set a fault code though, but that could definitely cause it to possibly stall.
This is a really weird problem because he replaced the chains, drove it for a while, and then replaced the cam gears.
Right.
So,
Right.
or the whole cam. But yeah, so like that's
Yeah.
tough.
That's a tricky one. You're gonna have to take that to somebody who can really test it and has a good understanding of how that system works in order to get a good answer. But
Yeah, my only guess is that the old cam gear wore the timing chain already.
right,
Like, even though he only had it on for a bit, but it just doesn't link up right because the old chain is stretched, the old gear is worn, the new chain is not stretched, but the old gear is still worn, and you ran it like that. But
right.
tough.
And it could be something completely separate
Yeah.
besides that.
Yeah.
Maybe
for sure.
you've got a coil that's starting to go or something like that.
Yeah.
It's starting to run rough. You think it, once again, you think it
Either
would
way,
set codes, but
there should be codes.
yeah. Another thing that I was thinking of was when you change over and the timing gets reset, sort of, and the computer needs to adapt to that. And I know he said that he drove it for a little bit, but
Yeah, maybe pull the battery.
yeah, might be a good idea. What's a smarter financial decision? Buy a Bluetooth car adapter and a subwoofer for only $140 in total and pay the installation of the subwoofer, or pay someone to install a radio into my truck? That's completely personal preference.
Sound upgrades are fun. Audio upgrades are fun.
Yeah, and I mean, so as far as I understand the Bluetooth capability, if you don't have that, there is those radio transmitters that you
Yeah.
can get that'll work.
Yeah.
And you could get a level output converter, an LOC, to run the sub and keep your factory deck.
Either way, used radios are really cheap.
That's true. You can buy an upgrade radio and the bezel kit and all
Yeah.
that stuff if you have the standard DIN setup in your vehicle.
And then everything works way better with that radio, like your subs and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'd go radio, but if you want to be cheap, you can just do the Bluetooth.
AC not working. How to get rid of condensation in the rain. So, hi, I don't have any money. Oh, that sucks. Living paycheck to paycheck. My air conditioning is not working. Costs too much to fix. My windows get a lot of condensation during rainy days. Is there any products that you'd recommend me buying from Amazon? Honestly,
Ooh,
man,
that's a tough one.
I would save up and get that air conditioning fixed. There not much that I really know of that's going to stop that from happening. And your air conditioning system's what really gets all that moisture out.
Yeah.
Like there's,
That's dangerous.
even if you try to put something on the windshield, like it may work, but then like
It'll
how
wear
long
off.
is it going to last for? Is it going to cause issues like with glare in the sun? All kinds of stuff.
Put a dehumidifier in your car.
Yep, there we go. Instead of the AC unit, you got a dehumidifier in the back.
In the trunk.
That's a
That's-
plausible.
That's very ghetto, but I mean, hey, if
If it works, it works, baby.
I don't think dehumidifier would take up too much amperage, like to even do it with a converter. Like
Yeah.
it's no, not gonna happen.
Oh man. Anybody know what here would anybody here know what these pliers are for?
Those are cool.
Those are cool. I've never seen anything like that.
See what the comments say.
Yeah.
Maybe that someone else will answer it for once. Spiral binding coil. Hog rings or spiral coils.
Coil crimper pliers. Never heard of those. Not something I've ever had to get into. Recommended for coil sizes up to 32 mil. Designed to cut and crimp plastic spiral bending coil elements with one quick squeeze.
Nothing to do with cars, I don't think. I don't know.
Strange.
Yeah.
2001 Pathfinder work. Bought about 2 months ago. 2001 Nissan Pathfinder for $3,500. Didn't get it looked at. It's leaking oil at the rear seal. I'm guessing rear main seal of the engine.
Yeah.
And at the valve cover. Needs a new rack and pinion for steering. Might need CV axles. That's just the stuff I can't do. It would cost about $3,500 to get the emergency stuff done on it. I'm guessing emergency brakes or possibly the immediate stuff that needs to be done. Yeah.
Okay, so if this age of I like these vehicles, 01 Pathfinder. If it is rusty, if the vehicle is rusty, drive it how it is. Don't put any money into it.
Yeah.
If the vehicle is pretty good for rust, like not much rust, I'd put $5,000 into that thing.
Yeah.
I'd put I wouldn't just do the 3,500. I'd do everything and make a nice running vehicle.
For sure. That's one thing that I've noticed a lot since the prices of vehicles have gone up so much, is that people are actually beginning to dump a lot of money into worn out old vehicles because it's just worth it to revive that vehicle if it's going to last them another 10 years.
Yeah, $4,000 into this, or 18
or
for
payments.
A different vehicle. Yeah.
Or yeah, exactly. So C300 Mercedes-Benz.
Rubbing pretty bad.
Yeah, I'm guessing brakes.
Get them checked out.
Probably just out of pads. Still, Mercedes stuff is expensive if you're going to go OEM, but
Get them checked out before you go too far into those backing plates.
Yeah.
What would cause a significant power steering leak?
Well, you could have a line or multiple lines that are beginning to leak. Significant, I'm guessing that it just runs out of power steering fluid in like 5 minutes of operating. So you probably have like a rotten line that's going. Another thing could be the seals on the outside where the inner tie rod ends move. But they don't leak super fast. I've never seen one that's like so bad that it just pukes everything out really quick. It's usually a line. If you have a power steering cooler, it could be that as well. But most likely it's a line.
Yep.
Or the pump, I guess. I've seen pumps that leak pretty bad.
Yep.
I know the Toyotas, they would actually run for so long that the shaft would get a groove worn into it from the actual oil seal. The oil seal would wear a groove into the shaft, and you have to replace the pump itself because the seal kit just wouldn't do it.
Wow. All right, enough of Ask Mechanic for episode 3, and this is just following up on a question someone asked on one of our videos from a long time ago.
Yeah, so we have these running taillights not working in a 16 Chev Silverado, and these connectors are at the back under the back bumper by the spare tire, and of course they run the lights in the back, and you can see here that there's a lot of corrosion. The one wire is completely broken, and they're just in a poor spot where a lot of dirt and everything gets thrown up there and compromises the insulation of the wiring. So it really depends. Not every truck's going to have the exact same issue. It just varies. Like some wires fail more than others. It's sort of random. Now there may be sort of a common area, like that portion of wiring, that 12 inches or 18 inches or whatever is susceptible to the most damage.
So to fix it, you have to undo that connector, either repin it and rewire it.
Yep.
What I did in this video was took that connector off, cut all the wires.
Yep.
But made sure I knew their locations on the pins and where they were going on the other side, and just butt connected them together with heat shrink, and that's what fixed that. But yeah, your wires may not be the exact same ones that mine were in this situation that were rotten.
Right.
It might be close.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just basically, like you say, just look at the wires and see where they go. Hope if you just have one broken wire, you'll know exactly which one that goes to based on where the connector plugs in. And if you have multiple wires, just take a look at the color of the wiring.
Yep.
So
awesome.
Super. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this content, give it a thumbs up. Got any comments, throw them down in the comment section below. And as always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.